Thank you so much motivating me for inviting me to your platform to talk about myself. And I hope that this goes a long way to inspire anyone who's going to watch this video. The first question you asked about the best career decision I made or I have ever made. First of all, I would like you to know that we lived in Dubai for 3 years and I worked at a job which I absolutely loved. I used to work with Emirates Airlines, but then things changed over time. My husband's company transferred the finance center to Malaysia, and that required us to make some decisions. So in that moment I decided, or we unanimously decided, to resign from this job at Emirates, just for the purpose of keeping the family together, because at that point we were expecting a baby. And so I resigned from this job and went along with him to Malaysia. So resigning from the job particularly gave me the opportunity to go on this whole journey of self-discovery. PBB was born out of a strong desire to change the narrative or change the negative stereotypes that exist around Africans in Malaysia. And it's a really funny story because in 2018 I visited the US and I met this lady. It was after church. She came to me after church because she heard that I had been introduced as someone who was visiting from Malaysia. So she was intrigued and she was happy to see somebody from Malaysia. And the reason is because there was this guy in Malaysia who reached out to her daughter requesting for her hand in marriage. And because she had heard all these negative stories about the guys and even ladies who are resident in Malaysia, she was very skeptical or even somewhat scared for her daughter's future. So she reached out to me and was asking me about it. And coming from Malaysia, that was not really my experience, even though I had prior stereotypes around Africans in Malaysia because of the things I had heard too. But after encountering that lady, I went on a mission, to just find out, to just dig in on the stories that were being reported. And what I saw on the internet was not a complete representation of the people who lived in Malaysia, especially at the time in which I was there. So when I got back from that trip, I decided to start writing stories which would create a balance, in the stories of Africans in Malaysia. Because when you looked online, everything that you saw about Africans in Malaysia were very negative things. They were either drug addicts, prostitutes, scammers, fraudsters, you name it. So I went on that mission. And prior to that, on return from that trip, I encountered this guy. He was a family man of Western origin. And while at the airport, we were heading towards passport control, and this guy was trying to redirect me from the expatriate queue at the airport or at the passport control. And I found that really offensive because he judged me from the color of my skin for not qualifying, to stand on that queue. So if you look at the stories that we tell on PBB, it's based on this, that Africans in Malaysia, there are Africans in Malaysia who are also expatriates and who are qualified to stand on this expatriate queue. It's not reserved for people of a certain skin color. So when I started PBB, I wanted to incorporate all of these stories, from an African perspective. There is this African proverb which says that until the lion learns how to write, the narrative will always glorify the hunter. So I was on a mission to tell stories from an African perspective of Africans in Malaysia. So that's basically, in a nutshell, the reason why PBB was created. And right now we have transcended beyond Malaysia because we are now in the phase of creating a network of Africans in different countries across the world to feed into the blog or this platform, relevant information based on their geographical location that would aid anybody who is wishing to travel to these different parts of the world, to have information that they can use to make informed decisions before traveling to that country. One of the major challenges I faced as at the time of starting this is the fact that a lot of people had not really warmed up to the idea. From my experience personally, Africans per se, from my experience, are not very open to telling their stories randomly on the internet. Maybe they would do that on their social media platforms from time to time, but it was not really a thing, to write on expat blogs and all of those kind of things. So it was getting people to warm up to the whole idea, and the reason why I was trying to get this done. I remember the first time when I just launched the blog. I remember taking my camera. I was so excited. Oh, I'm going to get some expat stories. I'm going to get stories from tourists, like what they think about traveling, traveling to Malaysia. And I got everything that I needed. I went to the city center, KL city center. Interestingly, I found no African. It's funny saying this, but I found there was no African there. There are Africans to go there from time to time, but that is a very touristy place, and I didn't find any African tourists. So when I went back home, I had to, really think deep whether I could accomplish this by just meeting people randomly on the street and asking them. I didn't really see that as going to work. So I decided to remodel. So in that process of remodeling, those were the kind of challenges I faced, getting people to talk about their stuff. So I had to remodel. I started meeting people on the internet. I used hashtags, followed stories of people who had visited the area, and I reached out to them. A lot of people didn't even respond, a lot of people, I remember somebody told me that, what, I'm bigger than all of these things you're trying to do. So those were the kind of challenges I faced, getting people to talk to me and give me the relevant information I needed, because it's not just about sharing a story, but it's about getting that information which is going to be beneficial. We want to create not only stories, but we want to create value. So it was about getting those stories and just getting the people to open up to me and share those stories. And also one of the challenges I faced is just a lack of the skill set, because everything that I'm doing currently is completely out of my comfort zone, and just getting acquainted with this new job or this new venture I was going on to is in itself a huge challenge. I had to, talk myself out of my fears, because my fear was my greatest challenge. And being able to relate with strangers, being able to strike conversations with strangers who are Africans, it's really not one of the easiest things to do. But yeah, I decided to look beyond those challenges and know that even if I get no's today, even if I get 100 no's today, there's definitely one person who is going to say yes. And when I get that one person, it's going to open up to a ton of new opportunities and new people who would gravitate towards what I am trying to accomplish. So yes, those were the challenges I faced, and I just had to continue working and not giving up, because it's important not to give up, especially when you have a strong reason why you're doing what you're doing. Giving up is not an option. Was there ever a time you felt like giving up? Yeah, so prior to that, like I mentioned earlier, yes, there's so many times, and even until today, there's every so often I feel like giving up, because it is personally rewarding, to see the smile or to see the value that I bring to people. But in the course of the journey, it is really hard, because I have to work like really long hours. It is stressful most of the time, and because I'm a family person, I have to, be a full-time family woman, like a mom and a wife. I have to do that full time, and then I have to do PBB alongside. So those are the things that I have to keep in consciousness, and those are the things that keep me going. So yes, from time to time I feel like giving up, but then that strong reason why I got into it, that strong reason or the strong why I am doing this, which keeps me awake for so many hours at night is the reason why I have to keep going, and the more I overcome these challenges and my fears, I just find that I am going on new levels and breaking new grounds. So instead of giving up, you know, like I said, the reason why I got into it, or the reason for my doing this, is always what brings lots of clarity. Because the moment I start feeling confused or hazed up, about the vision of where I am headed to, I go back to the vision, the origin of why I'm doing what I'm doing. And it puts me in perspective. It gives me the clarity that I need. What are the challenges I faced? I remember when I started my blog, I was totally clueless about what I was getting myself into. I had no idea of what I was doing. I was extremely clueless. I didn't know anything. But it took a lot of learning, a lot of investment into learning something that is totally out of my comfort zone. Talking to people, giving speeches, interviewing people, just building a website, learning photography, learning how to operate the cameras, learning every single thing, learning how to talk to a camera. What did I do instead of giving up? Winners never quit and quitters never win. And because I have this thing that is going on, which I believe is from God, there is just no way to quit, because it burns in my heart, like morning, afternoon, and even in my sleep. I dream PBB. So instead of quitting, all I had to do was just work on myself, work on my abilities, work on the skills that I needed. And truly, it's still a learning process, because every day that I wake up, I'm intending to learn something new. I'm intending to get inspired by someone who has gone before. I'm learning from people's experiences. I watch a lot of inspirational things, movies, or just inspirational videos of what to do, how to do the stuff that I would like to do. So quitting was not even an option. And what I would like to say here is that for people who are doing stuff, if you want to go into something, you shouldn't venture into a business or anything whatsoever without a strong reason why, because that is a recipe for disaster or failure. You need to have a strong reason why, a strong story behind it, and that's what is going to sail you through each time you think that you're going to give up. So I see failure as an opportunity to reassess, re-strategize, reorganize anything you're trying to do. And personally, in PBB's journey, I think I failed woefully in the beginning, because, like I said, I was totally clueless. When I started, I reached out to this person and I sent him a ton of questions, and he told me that, you know what, I'm not going to respond to this because I am way bigger than this thing that you're trying to do. I don't see myself doing this. In my mind, I thought I was trying to give him, number one, publicity, and number two, I just thought I was doing a service to mankind, and particularly Africans in Malaysia. So when he told me no, that was the first official no I got. I was deeply hurt by his no. But going back, a couple of days after, I started thinking of why he said no and why he said the things he said to me. And I realized that it was because at the time I was operating on a free platform. It was a free website, a free WordPress site. So in that time, I realized that, you know what, people wouldn't really take me seriously if I'm operating in this manner. I needed to have some level of excellence to be able to command the respect that I so desired. So when that person told me no, I was like, you know what, look, Kim, this is the time to, just reassess what you're doing, repackage PBB, package it nicely, and know who exactly you're trying to attract to this platform. How do I push through my worst times? As a founder, you're almost always under pressure to perform, to go above and beyond myself, to do more than what I think I can do. So what do I do to push through my worst times? Number one is prayer. Everything that you see happening today on PBB is as a result of so much prayer. I am a very spiritual person. I pray a lot about every single thing, even if it's just having the right skill. So I always pray for understanding. I always ask God for a way out, to show me the way, to guide me in whatever thing I am doing. So prayer is number one. Number two, I find motivation. I learn a lot from people who have gone before. I have lots of mentors. I have lots of people who inspire me, women in particular. I just make it a habit, to listen to these people's stories and anything that they've ever said over time. I listen to a lot of motivational messages from women in particular. And I just learn from the experiences of people who are doing what I'm doing. Most productive at night when the house is quiet and everyone is sleeping. That is when all my ideas start coming to life. I remember when I was even trying to come up with the name of the blog or the platform, it was about 2 a.m. and even until today at 2 a.m. I find I'm almost always awake at that time, because that is when everything just comes to life. So I'll do the best I can in the daytime, maybe just do one or two things that do not require too much attention, or that do not require too much concentration. But at night, when I want to get new ideas, when I want to, venture into new aspects of PBB, that happens in the night time. Success to me is a journey. I considered myself a success the moment I decided to step out of my comfort zone. Like I mentioned earlier, what I am doing now is way out of my comfort zone. So the moment I decided or made up my mind consciously to step out of my comfort zone and venture into these unknown paths, just overcoming the voices in my head. I believe that opportunities are embedded in your challenges. So whatever challenges you're facing today, just know that your opportunity may be in those challenges. Personally, PBB was born out of the personal challenges that I faced as an African resident in a particular area of the world, and at the time that was Malaysia. So pay key attention to whatever challenge you are facing today. I'll recommend that you write them down one after the other and find a way, put lots of thought into it on how to solve those problems. And when you try to solve those problems, you'll be surprised at how many people are dealing with the same exact problem and looking up to you, to help them solve that same problem. So challenges to me I see them as a blessing in disguise. It's hard to see that, especially when you're going through the challenge as a person or as an individual, but it is always important to know that your challenges are there, to make you stronger, or to make your success journey or your success story even sweeter or inspirational. So do not worry about your challenges, no matter what they are. Find a way to be grateful for them. Find a way to be thankful for these challenges, and you'll find that the burden is lighter when you're in that spirit of gratitude, when you're constantly surrounded or consciously putting yourself in that position of gratitude. When you find those opportunities, ensure that you stay in prayer, you stay working hard and working smart, which is important. You stay consistent with what you do, and you stay grateful. Thank you so much, Motivating Me, for having me, and thank you so much everyone for watching. And I hope you were inspired by my story, and make sure you work hard on those goals, or stay true to your vision and stay true to yourself, and I will see